Got a problem? Raise your own two-way player.
On April 20th, 2026, Chicago Cubs manager Craig Counsell made a shocking statement at a press conference. He sharply criticized MLB's two-way player rule, calling it the most bizarre rule in the league. The recognition of Shohei Ohtani as a two-way player effectively allows only the Los Angeles Dodgers to carry 14 pitchers. That's unfair. His comments spread around the world in an instant, sparking major reactions in Japan as well. Should the Ohtani Rule be abolished? Or is Ohtani simply one of a kind? Let us know what you think in the comments.
Thank you for being here. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to subscribe.
The Ohtani Rule is unfair.
Let's break down the situation a bit. In MLB, teams are normally limited to a maximum of 13 pitchers on the roster. However, if a player is officially recognized as a two-way player, he does not count toward that 13-pitcher limit. To qualify, a player must have pitched at least 20 innings and started at least 20 games as a position player or designated hitter. Right now, across all 30 MLB teams, only one active player meets these extremely strict requirements: Shohei Ohtani. As a result, the Los Angeles Dodgers are the only team that can effectively carry 13 dedicated pitchers plus Ohtani, giving them what is essentially a 14-man pitching staff. Counsell didn't hold back. It basically exists for just one team. It's probably the strangest rule I've ever seen. But that take was met with a direct rebuttal from Pedro Martinez. I know better than anyone how brutal life is for pitchers. And yet, there's a guy who started the season with a 0.50 ERA, while also becoming the first player in MLB history to hit 50 home runs and steal 50 bases. Tell me, does anyone else like that exist on this planet? No. The reason only one player meets the criteria is because Shohei Ohtani is simply beyond anything we've ever seen. Right now, the Cubs have 10 pitchers on the injured list. Key starters like Steele, Boyd, and Horton are all out, leaving a massive hole in the rotation. And it's not just the starters. The bullpen is in rough shape too, with arms like Maton and Harvey unavailable. That situation likely plays a big role in why Counsell made those comments. So, is this two-way player rule some kind of special exception just for the Dodgers? The answer is no. Nowhere in the rulebook does it say it's limited to the Dodgers. It's a rule open to all 30 MLB teams. If a player meets the criteria, whether it's the Cubs or the Yankees, any team can effectively carry a 14th pitcher. But in reality, there's only one human being who can actually meet those requirements: Shohei Ohtani. And in an exclusive interview on a Japanese podcast, Derek Jeter had this to say: "If Counsell really thinks it's unfair, then it's simple. Develop a two-way player on your own team. The Cubs have Crow Armstrong. They've got Matt Shaw, too. Plenty of young talent there. Let them pitch. If they meet the criteria, they get the same advantage. The reason they don't do it? Because they can't." On the other hand, former GM Jim Bowden believes MLB may be reaching a point where this exception needs to be re-evaluated. I'm fine with Ohtani pitching and still staying in the game as a DH. But when it comes to roster advantage, that's where it becomes unfair. There are definitely some voices out there siding with Counsell. Bowden's perspective comes from years of front office experience, and it's worth listening to. But fundamentally, it's very different from Counsell's criticism. On April 20th, the day of those comments, the Cubs were facing the Philadelphia Phillies. They weren't even playing the Dodgers. Calling out a completely unrelated team in the middle of that situation could be seen as lacking professionalism for someone in a leadership role. And here's another question. Back when Ohtani was with the Angels, no one complained about this rule. Why? Because the Angels weren't winning. But the moment Ohtani joined the Dodgers and they started winning back-to-back World Series, the noise suddenly got louder. So maybe the issue isn't the rule itself. Maybe it's the fact that the Dodgers are winning a little too much for everyone else's liking. So, to sum it all up, first, the rule is equally available to all teams. Second, there are serious questions about the timing and motivation behind Counsell's criticism. And third, even if the rule were changed, it wouldn't necessarily weaken the Dodgers. Those are the three key points that really stand out. In response to Counsell's criticism, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts fired back. During a press conference after a 12-3 win over the Colorado Rockies, Roberts said, "We would absolutely welcome other teams finding players who can contribute both on the mound and at the plate. The only reason he's treated as an exception is because he is an exception. That's the reality." Roberts is absolutely right. If you've got a problem, then develop a two-way player on your own team. The rule is open to all 30 teams. Complaining about it without even trying? That's just sour grapes. Even Japanese news programs are calling Counsell's argument off the mark. And Dodgers beat writers didn't hold back either. If you're going to complain, then let Crow Armstrong take the mound. The tone on social media is overwhelmingly critical of Counsell. There's one crucial thing Counsell is missing. Shohei Ohtani isn't exploiting a loophole in the rules. He's the guy who changed baseball itself. Since Babe Ruth over 100 years ago, no one has done what he's doing. 50 home runs, 50 steals, a 0.50 ERA. Because of him, the number of people watching baseball has exploded worldwide. He's rewriting the history of the game in real time. And you're calling the rule strange? That's what's actually strange. In other words, fans don't see the issue as the rule itself. They see it as how people choose to react to a once-in-a-generation talent. Since Shohei Ohtani entered MLB, advertising spending by Japanese companies in opposing teams' stadiums has increased by 218% year over year. In other words, while there are voices criticizing him, the reality is that his presence is generating new revenue across the league. So when it comes to criticism, we need to be very careful about where it's actually directed. There's another important point. When Ohtani appears in away stadiums, attendance tends to jump by 20% to 40%. Even in ballparks that usually struggle to draw crowds, there are confirmed cases where attendance increased by 37% year over year during games he played. That means higher ticket revenue, more merchandise sales, and increased food and beverage income across the board. And yet, despite all of that, calling this rule unfair requires a much more careful and balanced discussion. Because the reality is, Shohei Ohtani isn't just impacting one team. He's elevating the entire business of MLB, and all 30 teams, including the Cubs, are benefiting from it. So the real question we should be asking is this: how much value has Shohei Ohtani actually brought to MLB? His economic impact is estimated to exceed $8.5 billion annually. Since his arrival, the Los Angeles Dodgers franchise value has jumped 23% year over year, reaching approximately $7.7 billion. On top of that, MLB's total sponsorship revenue has surpassed $1.8 billion, setting a new all-time record. At the center of all this growth, there's no question, it's Shohei Ohtani. In the 2025 postseason, something unprecedented happened. For one game, the number of viewers in Japan actually surpassed those in the United States. In Game 1 of the National League Division Series, despite it airing early in the morning, an average of 9.1 million people tuned in from Japan, far exceeding the 3.1 million viewers in the US. A game drawing more viewers from overseas than from its home country is something baseball has never seen before, and it perfectly captures the global impact of Shohei Ohtani. Even from the perspective of players who spent years in MLB, Shohei Ohtani's global impact has reached a level no previous generation ever came close to. That's why the two-way player rule shouldn't be seen as a special advantage for one team. It should be understood as a rational system designed for an extraordinarily rare talent. Without a player like him, there's a strong chance baseball wouldn't be drawing this level of global attention today. Broadcasting rights and sponsorship revenues likely wouldn't have reached where they are now. Shohei Ohtani has elevated the value of baseball itself, and creating an environment where his abilities can be fully utilized is simply the natural outcome. At the same time, the Cubs' situation, with so many pitchers sidelined, is undeniably tough, and there's room for sympathy there. However, directing that frustration toward other teams or specific players isn't appropriate. The priority should be taking a hard look at their own development system and roster management. As long as the blame is placed externally, real improvement is unlikely to happen. Watching Shohei Ohtani take the mound while also stepping into the batter's box is something extraordinarily rare. Just being able to witness moments like this in real time is a privilege for all of us living in this era. We need to recognize what we're actually seeing. This is a player who will be written into baseball history, and we're watching it unfold right in front of us.
Thanks for watching all the way through. What did you think? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us as we continue to follow Shohei Ohtani's incredible journey. See you in the next one.